But there's one thing that's actually quite amazing. If you study English today, you'll find that once you've truly mastered it, learning languages such as Italian, French, or Spanish becomes noticeably easier. This ease, however, isn't really about the grammar. So where does the ease come from? It's actually in the vocabulary. Why? Because in English, especially with advanced vocabulary, the words are very consistent with those in the Latin language family, particularly the longer ones. For example, take impossible. In English, it's impossible. In Italian, it's impossibile. Or example, which is esempio in Italian. They look very similar when written. This is exactly the influence of the Southern Latin people on the Northern Germanic culture. You see, English itself is actually a Germanic language. But when the Northern barbarians conquered the South, they faced a problem. What was it? Well, even though you were superior militarily, physically, and in terms of raw power, you were seen as culturally lacking. And what happens then? Well, it meant that the Northern Germanic languages actually lacked more advanced vocabulary. Because their culture was not considered advanced enough, they simply did not need words for complex or abstract concepts. If you tried to talk to them about things like religion, philosophy, or science, they would not have discussed those topics before, so they had no need for such specialized terms. That is why English absorbed a massive amount of advanced vocabulary from the Latin language family. So it's not that French or Italian words are naturally close to English. Rather, English absorbed these sophisticated Latin terms as it evolved. But German is different. If you study European languages, you'll find German is quite distinct because its advanced vocabulary was created later. So it's very different from the Latin-based languages. Thus, you see this contrast between the Italian and the Germanic. This duality essentially allows you to map out the main trajectory of Western art history. We can also look at some other straightforward examples. For instance, when it comes to different art forms, you will often find that countries in the Germanic sphere, such as Germany and Austria, generally have a more highly developed tradition of music. In the southern part of Europe, especially in and around Italy, the so-called plastic arts, architecture, painting, and sculpture, are noticeably more prominent and influential. We can actually break this down a bit further. If we take a closer look at the great masters, those truly famous painters from earlier periods, who comes to mind? Can you name any? Well, there are quite a few. For example, Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, Michelangelo, Caravaggio, a whole long list of remarkable artists, and interestingly, they are all Italian. In the north, you have the great composers Bach, Handel, Beethoven, and Mozart. Looking further, you'll notice a professional divide. The south produced more masters of the plastic and fine arts, while the north focused more on music and spiritual pursuits. This is a clear binary opposition. Now, if we move past the fine arts and look directly at music, then you'll find that, hey, a divide in music has also appeared. It's not that Italy doesn't have music. So tell me, what is the main music of Italy? I once traveled to Italy and I met a local pianist there who was, well, quite a good piano player. I asked him a question. I said, look, you Italians have such great musical talent and such a developed culture. Even the piano itself was invented by you Italians. So why is it that Italy doesn't seem to have produced any particularly outstanding piano works? Right? Think about it carefully. These famous, excellent piano works we know, whether they're concertos, sonatas, or various short pieces. Actually, almost none of the greatest works are, in fact, Italian. And my pianist friend answered me like this. He said, that's simple because our composers all went to write operas. They all went to write operas. So Italian art is actually more of a concrete kind. How should I put it? It's an artistic pursuit that's close to human nature itself. So their melodic quality is very, very strong, right? You can listen to all kinds of opera excerpts. The famous opera excerpts in history were basically all contributed by Italian composers.